Cruising has changed over the years, and so has my cruise tips and advice. In fact, some of the things that I would share even a couple of years ago are things I no longer do or recommend. Hi there, I'm Ilana from the website lifewellcruise.com. Welcome back to my channel. Now today I thought we would talk about some outdated cruise tips and advice. Now don't worry, the big ones like always fly in at least one day before your cruise, I haven't changed my mind on. But there are definitely some things that I've done in the past when it came to saving money or even dining on board that I definitely have changed my mind on. Oh, and by the way, in addition to sharing my own outdated cruise advice that I don't follow anymore, I'm also going to share some things from the LifeWell Cruise community towards the end as well. Now, before I get started, I did want to mention that if you like this video, if you find it helpful, informative, or enjoyable in any way, then please do give this video a big thumbs up. I really do appreciate it. And please subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. I'd love to have you here within the LifeWell Cruise community. Let's get started. Okay, the first thing that I no longer do anymore is bring a bottle of wine with us as we are boarding on embarkation day. Now, I have to say, this is an overall thing. I'm not saying I'll never do it again, but I will tell you when it was really not worth it and why. So first, why bring a bottle of wine on embarkation day? Well, if you do not have the drink package, it can be a good idea to bring your own bottle of wine or soda, whatever the cruise line allows. Now, what happened was we were on board a celebrity cruise, I guess about a year and a half ago or so, and it was a 3-day cruise. And honestly, the drink package I thought was pretty expensive. We all had to get it within the cabin, and it just didn't seem worth it to me for that specific cruise. So we decided we'll bring our own wine on board. Well, what happened is we brought the bottle of wine to the dining room, and there was a corkage fee, which we did know that there would be. And there is a way around this, by the way. We could have poured our bottle into a glass and brought that from the cabin, but I didn't do that. In any case, the corkage fee was actually quite pricey on this cruise, and including the service fee was just around $40. Now, what I realized is if I'm going to be paying the corkage fee anyway, even on another cruise line where it might be a little bit cheaper than Celebrity, I think I might actually just buy the bottle of wine on the ship. I think it's actually cheaper. So in any case, I still would not have bought the drink package for that specific cruise. But these days, most of the time, I'm leaving that bottle of wine at the liquor or wine store. Number 2, something that I'm not doing anymore, and I don't recommend that people do anymore, is ask for cabin upgrades when you get on board the ship. Honestly, that ship has sailed, pun intended. When cruises returned after the pandemic, it was possible, because cruise ships weren't necessarily full, to be able to go to guest services and maybe to let them know that if another cabin was available, maybe there was a problem with your cabin, a little something that you didn't like, is there maybe a free upgrade? Or sometimes they would upgrade people for really a very minimal charge. It was absolutely worth doing. In fact, I have friends that had great upgrades because of this. But honestly, these days, cruise ships really are sailing full, and that just isn't something that happens anymore. So if you really do want an upgrade, it's definitely better to bid for the upgrade before you board. Number 3, I can eat my words on this. I used to recommend that people avoid the cruise ship buffet, instead heading to the main dining room at pretty much any chance that you get. Breakfast, lunch, dinner, if at all possible, and of course, if your plans fit within that. And I still love to be served, but I have to say, there have been some cruises within the last year and a half that we've gone to the buffet. As an example, we had on an Alaska cruise, we were on Discovery Princess, and we had a cruise port, Victoria, British Columbia, that we arrived there at 6:00 p.m. So we were not going to go to the dining room to eat, at 4:30. So instead, what we did is around 5 o'clock or so, we went to the buffet. Well, I was so impressed and surprised with the garlic shrimp, the prime rib, all of the different choices that were there. It was really good. So we said, if anything, sometimes even better than the main dining room on some nights. And on MSC, we also had an activity one night on World America. And so we wanted to eat a little bit early so that we could make sure that we got to that activity on time. They had lamb chops. They had shrimp. And you are starting to see on some cruise ships that their buffet, even thinking about Celebrity Apex recently, their buffet was absolutely phenomenal. Now, please let me know, do you think that the buffet on cruise ships is actually improving? Because overall, I wouldn't say every cruise line, but overall, this is something that I'm seeing in the last year and a half or so. Now, I do have some general ones in just a minute, but I did want to share one that's very personal to me. I used to always recommend that people on embarkation day wear a bathing suit underneath their embarkation day clothing so that they could make use of the pool and enjoy the ship in that way, even if their cabin wasn't ready yet. And it's not that I disagree with this advice for people who maybe have young children. Like, we used to board and we sailed a lot with Royal Caribbean, but also some other cruise lines. But really, after lunch, we would head over to the pool and we would just enjoy that ship right away. And I still think it's a great idea. I've just passed that phase of my life where I realized, you know, why am I bringing a bathing suit on board even in my carry-on bag? Sometimes I still bring it just in case because I want to make sure I have it. But there's just no point to it because I know on embarkation day, I cannot think of a time in the last 3 years that I have gone swimming on boarding day. All right, let's talk about cruise gadgets that I no longer recommend. Even though I absolutely love them, it is towel clips. Now, of course, if you like towel clips, still bring them. I do sometimes bring small ones that I have that are really nice and sturdy. But honestly, for the actual like towels to keep them on the chairs, I have started to use towel bands almost exclusively. And I have found these thin ones that I really like. They are so easy to bring with me. I still think that having something to hold your towels down is a good idea, but these work just as good as towel clips, and nowadays that is absolutely what I'm packing. Now, this is advice that I think myself and a lot of other cruise bloggers and cruise YouTubers would share. And I think that there is still some truth to it. But I was recently watching a video by Gary Bembridge from Tips for Travelers, and he mentioned this. And I thought, yeah, there really is some truth to this. In the past, I would always say, don't be loyal to one cruise line because you might as well play the field a little bit. And that's how you're going to get the best deal. And I still think overall this is true. You can also make sure that you don't lose out on some itineraries that you really want to do, because sometimes a specific cruise line may not do the exact itinerary that you want to do. So there are still some reasons to kind of, you know, expand your options a little bit. But these days, we do have status match programs. We have Royal Caribbean and Celebrity and Silversea that they do have within the whole group, that they have a status match program. So you might as well try to stay within that family if you like that already. But we even have, if you make it to those higher tiers, then you do have the status match program with MSC, with Explora Journeys, with Virgin, if I'm not mistaken, that still exists. And I have to say, even though I did go on different cruise lines, I do tend to cruise with Princess a little bit more than some other lines. I think it's just because of some loyalty that we had built up, you know, in the early years. But now I am elite, and that means that we get free laundry, and I absolutely love that perk. So if you love the perks that come with staying with the same cruise line, I do think maybe it could be worth it. But please let me know, am I right or wrong on that? Okay, let's talk about cruise ship Wi-Fi. Definitely, when I think about up until probably the pandemic, I did not purchase cruise ship Wi-Fi. And even in the early years while I was blogging, I would maybe purchase a small package, but very, very little. Of course, now because of what I do, I absolutely need it. But even if I didn't need it because of what I do, I definitely think that Wi-Fi is something, at least having some amount of it. It could be a small amount, but I think being connected is something that's actually important, more than I thought maybe years ago. And I definitely think that the idea of disconnecting is like noble, but it is good to be connected. Now, I'll give you the example. I was just talking to my friends a couple of nights ago. We went out for dinner and she shared the story with us that she was on a transatlantic cruise. She didn't get any cruise ship Wi-Fi, and she had always thought that at least the text messages come through, and overall they had. so she would know if there was ever an emergency. Well, it turned out that it had been almost 2 days that she hadn't gotten a text message, and she ended up getting a little bit of internet, reaching out back home, and her daughter was actually in the hospital. Now, it's her adult daughter, and she had other people back home, but she felt absolutely terrible, and she confided in me that she will never go on a cruise again without having at least some way for people to get in touch with her. Okay, now this one is something that a lot of people in the Life Well Cruise Facebook community shared. They said, you know what? They're not going to go to any of those art auctions anymore for the free champagne. Now, for anybody who loves the art auctions and buys the art from there, and I know many people do, that's not the same thing. It really is the people that say, you know what? For the free champagne or sparkling wine, that's why I'm going. And people say, you know what? Absolutely not worth it. Will not do it again. Now, I am curious, do you bring your passport when you leave the cruise ship? Because several years ago, I definitely recommended taking your passport off when you left the ship. Now, I think that this was, if I'm not mistaken, probably before I ever started this YouTube channel. And for anybody who doesn't know, I worked for many years part-time as a travel advisor, specializing in cruises for a local agency. And early on, I definitely recommended people take their passports with them. But I no longer do that, and I definitely do not do that for us. Now, what we do is we put our passports right away when we get into our cabin into our safe, and we keep that locked up. And this way, we know that our passports are there. And I don't expect, of course, to miss the cruise ship. I'm definitely very careful and very cautious, and I do have copies of my passports with me on my phone, and I email them to myself. So if there was ever something that happened, I would have that. But my original passports, I just feel that there is more risk of them getting damaged or stolen when I'm off the cruise ship than actually me being left off the cruise ship. So that's why I do that. And just for anybody who also doesn't know, is typically what the cruise ship will do is, if there is an issue, is they will go into your cabin and they'll look into the obvious places, which the safe is one of them, and they will leave your passports with the port agent. Now, speaking of passports, many people from the Life Well Cruise community said it is bad, outdated advice to tell people that it's okay to go on a cruise without a passport. Now, if you are American, you know that if you're on a closed loop cruise, in many cases, this does not require a passport. Now, I say many cases because there are exceptions. I'm not going to go into that in this video. So you don't necessarily have to have a passport. But what people say is, with travel requirements getting just a little bit more complicated, and honestly, people sometimes finding out the hard way that they get to the cruise port and they're denied boarding, that it just isn't worth it. For anybody who travels with any frequency, it really is just better to have a passport. Now, let me know. I know not everybody will agree with this, so let me know, please, what you think. Oh, now this is definitely one that, because I'm a nervous traveler, this is definitely advice that I've changed my mind on, and I will explain. So one of the things that I always used to say is, it's better to book your cruise excursion with the cruise line, because you don't want to miss the cruise ship. And of course, I'm still a nervous and I'm still a cautious traveler, but we do book third-party excursions. You've heard me talk before about Shore Excursions Group. That is a very reputable third-party tour provider, and they do have certain guarantees to get you back to the cruise ship. I'm not going to go into that in this video, but I still actually do take a look at how many hours we're going to be on that tour, and I do make for myself a decision that I feel comfortable with. But I've just found that cruise line excursions, while I still do sometimes do them, that in many cases, not always, but in many cases, you know, you're on a tour with 50 other people and you're all going to the same beach, or you're all going to the same tourist places. And these days, with so many ships in port at the same time, I just prefer the smaller groups that we usually can get if we book an excursion on our own. Now, there's definitely some advice that I don't think I give this anymore, but I definitely gave this advice when I started my YouTube channel. I used to talk about what to wear for a formal night. That advice has changed completely. I basically said what you would wear for like formal wedding attire. So like, at least in North America, what would be formal attire? I know that like elsewhere in the world, it's not the same thing, but basically a suit for men, maybe with a shirt and possibly a tie optional, dress shoes, etc. For women, a short or a long gown or a cocktail dress. Now, I definitely still think you can absolutely wear this. And if you ever follow me on social media, you will see that my husband and I and my son Ethan and my son Julian, sometimes we do dress up a little bit on cruises. We definitely choose depending on what cruise ship we're on or what we might be celebrating during our cruise. But I definitely do not think it's a requirement anymore. And I think there's a lot more leeway so that on formal nights, you can still participate and dress, a little bit nicely. I think that that's always something nice because it is a nice occasion. But you can leave the heavy gowns and the suits and the tuxedos at home. Now, I have one more, but I think that this one is actually hotly debated because it came up even on the Facebook page where some people said the over-the-door organizer is absolutely not necessary anymore. And I'm kind of in that camp. But then other people say, no, it is absolutely necessary. If you're a family, you need it. But other people said, even if they're not, a family of 4, they like it. They like to put all of their different things. They have their medication in it. They have maybe hair products in it, sunscreen, etc. And I actually have a friend, and I think this was so smart. What she would do when her children were young is she actually pre-packed that over-the-door organizer with everything from medication to bug spray, all the different things that the kids could need. And she just folded it up and had it packed already in her luggage so that when she got on the ship, she could actually just hang it straight up on the bathroom door. Now, I would love to hear from you. Please let me know what is an outdated cruise tip or a piece of advice that you no longer follow. And do you agree or disagree with the ones in this video? If you enjoyed this video, please do give it a big thumbs up. I really do appreciate it. Bye for now and happy cruising.